$100 a month for groceries should be enough. What? Wait a minute, that's impossible. If you can't keep it down to $100, we're getting divorced, understand? You can't be serious. So you're not even willing to try, huh? I never thought you are the kind of person who never tried. Such a pathetic woman. I felt a sudden surge of anger when my husband said that. If he's going to mock me like that, then I'll prove him wrong. Fine, then I'll make sure we keep our grocery expenses below $100 a month. My name is Anne, a 29-year-old housewife. My husband John and I have been married for a year. John and I met at a group date and decided to get married after dating for a year. Anne, I want you to stay home and take care of the house once we're married. So I quit my job after getting married and became a full-time housewife. I did like my job, but starting a new life with John was more important to me, so I didn't hesitate to be a housewife. Our life after marriage was sweet and blissful. Every day, I made lunchboxes for John and prepared elaborate dinners. John always said, "Anne, your cooking is really delicious," and his enjoying meals made me very happy. Back then, he had a steady job, and he would always leave work on time and come home early, so the two of us used to have peaceful and happy meals together. But recently, it seems like John's work has become busier, and he's coming home later. He used to be home by 6 p.m., but lately, he often doesn't come home until after 9 p.m. It seems like the increase in work also means he is being counted on more by his superiors and is often invited out for drinks. So every Friday night, he goes out drinking and often doesn't come home until late at night. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't lonely, but John is working hard to improve our life together, so I can't complain. So I decided to make an even greater effort with the lunchboxes, giving John a taste of home. I put so much effort into them. They looked like something you might buy in a department store. So I started making an extra one for myself to eat for lunch, just knowing I was eating the same lunch as John, around the same time during his lunch break, made me feel like we were having a meal together, which was a great comfort. I sincerely hope that my homemade lunchboxes can bring some comfort to my husband, even if it's just a little bit. With that thought in mind, I pour my heart and soul into preparing them. John seemed to notice the changes in the lunches, and after coming home, he would cheerfully say, "Lately, you've been making such extravagant lunches for me. They're all delicious." When he praised me like that, I felt motivated to do even more. Since then, I've continued to work hard on the lunchboxes, making them both tasty and appealing. Before I knew it, cooking was becoming my hobby. I began to take pictures of the lunchboxes and post them on social media, and I was surprised to find that the posts were getting quite a lot of attention. Before, I only had a few followers, mostly friends, but the number of likes and followers started to increase rapidly. This was a first for me, and it was very exciting. I started to see comments from people wanting to know the recipes, so I began to post detailed recipes along with the photos. Sure enough, there were people who tried to imitate and create what I made. I received delightful comments like, "My husband said it was delicious," or "I included it in my child's lunchbox, and they requested it again." And this is a first for me. I was thrilled and was gradually getting into cooking more. It might be even better if prepared in this way. Maybe reducing the amount of this seasoning might bring out the sweetness of the ingredients. As I continued to cook while pondering these things, I found that I had created quite a number of recipes. I hadn't thought I'd pick up a new hobby at this age. My husband John seemed as busy with work as ever, spending less time at home due to overtime and working on weekends. But I didn't feel as lonely as I thought I would, because I used my alone time to study nutrition and even obtained a nutritionist certification. Time flew by, and 2 years of our married life had passed. I started thinking it might be about time to have a child. When I discussed it with my husband, his response was not what I expected. Before we got married, I remember him talking about wanting to have 2 kids, so his reaction was surprising. Maybe he still wants a child, but thinks it's not the right time, or perhaps there has been some change in his mind. Somehow, I felt a bit sad, as if we were not able to communicate properly as a couple. Looking back, I feel that John is less interested in me than he used to be. Our intimate nights have obviously decreased, and even when I try to initiate, I get turned down with excuses like, "I'm tired, sorry." He also stopped giving feedback about the lunchboxes I put so much effort into making. I felt increasingly lonely, wondering if this was the so-called marital doldrums. One day, amidst all of this, my husband made a surprising remark. Anne, aren't you overdoing it with these elaborate dishes? Huh? I'm troubled by you squandering the money I earn. Don't refer to it as squandering. And I haven't been making extravagant expenditures, you know? I'm simply using regular priced ingredients and figuring out recipes to make tasty meals while keeping costs low. That's impossible. Those visually appealing and tasty lunchboxes must cost a lot to make. No, not at all. Just a little ingenuity and preparation can change the flavor quite significantly. Don't lie to me. I know you always take pictures of the lunchboxes you make and post them on social media. Huh? I didn't expect my husband to know about my social media, but it seemed like he hadn't looked through every detail. You're always focusing on making it look good for social media. Stop showing off that you can make these luxurious lunchboxes. It's embarrassing to know that my wife is spending money to get likes. I can't accept my earnings being used to satisfy your need for approval. Why would you say that? I'm not uploading pictures with that intention at all. Initially, I just wanted to share when I managed to make something delicious. And now I'm more focused on challenging myself to enhance the look and taste of meals with cheap ingredients so others can easily imitate. No matter how much I tried to explain to my husband, he wasn't willing to listen. No need for excuses. $100 per month is more than enough for food expenses. What? I was flabbergasted. It would be incredibly hard to keep food expenses for 2 adults at $100 per month. Since John doesn't cook much, he may not know how much it costs. Groceries are not just the cost of the food ingredients. They also include things like beverages, seasonings, oils, and so many more. Keeping it under $100? Impossible. Oh, hold on a minute. There's no way I can do that. Why not? Haven't you been trying to save money by being resourceful with your cooking so far? If so, it should be perfectly feasible. If you can't keep it under $100, we're getting a divorce. What? Divorce? No way! I couldn't understand why my husband John would say such a cruel thing. He used to be so kind. Why did he change? It's unfair to suddenly bring up divorce. If you have any complaints, speak up. Don't make impossible demands. I tried my best to initiate a discussion, but John wouldn't listen. So, you're not even going to try because you think it's impossible from the start? I never thought you were so pitiful. I guess you're just cooking to satisfy your own need for approval. I was furious when John said that to me. If he's going to look down on me like that, I'll show him. Fine, I'll keep it under $100 for the month. No complaints then, right? Yeah, make sure it stays under $100. I was being stubborn. I didn't care that John had changed. I decided to focus all my energy on succeeding in this mission of keeping the groceries under $100 for a month. From then on, I started to make various changes to my cooking. I thought about various ingredients that could substitute for meat, and tried using tofu and fish cake. I also experimented with combinations of seasonings to create different flavors, like mixing bean paste and dried bonito into egg liquid to make an egg saboro that tasted like spicy cod roe. By doing so, I was able to significantly reduce the cost of groceries. In addition, I visited various supermarkets and searched online to find stores that sell pasta and drinks for cheap prices, and worked hard to save money. It was close, but I managed to keep the grocery bill under $100. I gave a mental fist pump saying, "Take that, John." However, John didn't ask about the results or anything. He just went on with his life as usual. I was disappointed that he didn't seem interested in something he had proposed. But I didn't know when he might bring up the issue of groceries again, so I decided to continue with the $100 grocery lifestyle. In order to make it as enjoyable as possible, I started a new project on social media, regularly posting about our life on a $100 grocery budget. As before, I posted recipes so that everyone could replicate my budget-friendly meals. I saw a comment about wanting to see a video summary, so I started uploading weekly videos on a video sharing site that neatly summarized what I was doing. To my surprise, I got a lot of feedback, and the number of subscribers on the video sharing site increased rapidly, enabling me to monetize it in no time. I was amazed at how the world has changed. The more people watched, the more motivated I became, and I kept coming up with new recipes. In the midst of everything, my husband John told me he would be going on a 3-day business trip the week after next. With that news, I figured there would be no need for me to cook, so I planned to return to my hometown. My hometown is quite a distance away, so I would need to take a plane. So I quickly reserved my plane tickets. Then, before I knew it, the day had arrived, and John left the house in the morning with his carry-on suitcase. He planned to drop by the office before heading to the airport. A little while after John left, I packed my bags and also headed to the airport. Since I was only going home, I packed light enough to fit everything into a backpack. Since I packed light, I was able to leave the house quickly and without any hassle. Upon arriving at the airport, I found a casual cafe where I sat back and enjoyed a cup of coffee while responding to comments on my videos and social media posts. Then, I heard it. I could hear John's voice somewhere. Even in crowded places, his voice is familiar, so I instantly recognized it was him. I looked in the direction of the sound and saw John walking in front of the cafe. Just as I was about to call out to him, I noticed a woman walking beside him. What's more, they were walking arm in arm, seeming rather close. I couldn't take my eyes off the pair. That was undoubtedly John. Is he having an affair? Was the whole business trip a lie? I was so shocked by what was happening right before my eyes that I was rooted to the spot for a while. My flight was due, so with a heavy heart, I boarded my plane and went home. My parents warmly welcomed me, but noticed my downcast expression and asked me what was wrong. My parents expressed their anger at John, saying what a jerk he is. That lightened my mood a little. After that, I decided to put John aside and enjoy my time at home. My mom's cooking was delicious, and it reminded me of when I first started living alone and worked hard to recreate her taste in my own cooking. After some much-needed relaxation at home, I returned to our house. Immediately upon my return, I hired a private investigator. I had never been more grateful for my advertising income from my social media. A few weeks later, the investigation results came in. In short, John was having an affair. It seems that his mistress was a junior at his office. Furthermore, after investigating in detail, it appears that their relationship had been ongoing for about 6 months. That timeline coincided with when John started working overtime and on weekends more frequently. Could it be that he was spending too much money on his mistress, and that's why he asked me to save on groceries? Thinking this, everything made sense. An intense rage against John welled up within me, pretending to be frugal when all he wanted was to increase the money he could spend. The audacity. I decided to take some action against John. From the next day, I stopped cooking for him. Huh? Where's my lunch? It's too tough to keep food costs down to $100, so I stopped making it. Here, figure something out with this. Saying that, I handed over $2. Huh? What am I supposed to buy with this? You can buy a convenience store rice ball, right? And maybe a ready-made sandwich or something. With the remaining change, you can get some cheap coffee at the office. Just about making ends meet. Don't joke with me. Can I satisfy my hunger with this poor meal? Even if it's $100 a month, we should be able to use a bit more. Nope, that's still barely scraping by. Spending $2 5 days a week for a month already takes up $40. You'd need to prepare a month's worth of dinners with remaining $60. Well, you could get by if you have instant noodles for dinner every day. Are you kidding me? If I keep having such unhealthy meals, I'll get sick. But if we don't stick to instant noodles around $1.50 each, we can't fit within $100. $1.50 for 30 days is $45. Add that to lunch, and you're already at $85. Then you've got to keep your monthly beverage expenses within $15. Once I explained this far, my husband John finally seemed to understand the difficulty of keeping food expenses within $100. Hold on a sec. So you're saying the lunch and dinners you've been making so far exceeded $100? No, I managed to keep it within $100 through my efforts. Then why don't we just continue that? No way. You and I are strangers now. That's why I'm teaching you how to manage food expenses on $100 without me. What? What do you mean? I thrust divorce papers at my surprised husband. Divorce? Why all of a sudden? It's not sudden. I've been preparing ever since I found out about your affair. Upon hearing this, John turned pale. What affair are you talking about? Pretending not to know won't do any good. I showed him photos proving the affair. I had these investigated and got the evidence. Now there's no escaping it. I'm asking for a divorce and compensation. John was dumbfounded with his mouth open. He probably hadn't expected to get caught. But still, he tried to argue back, perhaps because of his high pride. Sure, I may have had an affair, but won't you be in trouble if we divorce? You were a housewife. How will you get by once you're on your own? Your family is far away. What are you going to do? Wouldn't it be better to forgive your husband's one mistake and continue our married life? I was astounded. What a jerk he was to say such a thing. Sorry, but I have quite an income now. Huh? The social media posts you look down on have led to various work opportunities for me. I also get substantial income from ad revenue from my video posts, and I'm about to release a book of money-saving cooking recipes. Recipe book? You're releasing a book? To tell you the truth, I'm earning a lot more than you are, so I'm not worried about being alone. Really? John thought I was just a housewife and has been looking down on me. He was shocked in various ways when he found out I was earning more than him. He was no longer able to say anything and was looking down. Just fill out the darn divorce papers, will ya? If you put up a fight, I'm game for anything. I said that as I grabbed my bags that I had packed in advance and hightailed it out of the house. Afterward, through a lawyer, I communicated with my husband and the divorce went through without a hitch. I also managed to get alimony from my ex-husband and his mistress. Word spread like wildfire through his office about his affair because one of our mutual acquaintances works there. Folks are giving my ex the cold shoulder for betraying his wife, who packed him a loving, homemade lunch every single day. The mistress couldn't take the pressure and quit her job. My ex is apparently strapped for cash because of the alimony and money he showered on his mistress. He can't quit his job, so he kept working at the same company, dealing with an awkward atmosphere at work. On the flip side, I moved into a lovely place with a state-of-the-art kitchen, and I'm cooking a lot more. My recipe book got published, and sales are through the roof. I plan to keep cooking a bunch of dishes and live a fun-filled life.